So we'll be starting today the different topics of economics. So there are in total 3 topics that we'll be doing in economics: market influences on businesses, international business operations, and the economic effect of significant transactions. Now, these are comparatively very easy topics and very scoring. So, we must give these topics utmost importance in the sense that we should make it our strength so that we are able to score the maximum marks over here, right? So we'll be starting with the very first topic in bar, which is your business analysis and reporting. There are 2 areas. Area 1, which is your business analysis portion. This portion is around 40 to 50% weightage of your entire paper. And in this, you have current analysis and prospective analysis. In the prospective analysis, we'll be studying the first topic, as I mentioned above, which is market influences on the businesses. Very simple, easy, very practical oriented. I'll be using a lot of examples to explain this, real life examples which you all can relate. And if you all come across with any other examples, you all can also ask the question, right? And give your inputs. So let's start. When we talk about economics, we talk about 2 different domains. One is your microeconomics and one is your macroeconomics. Now, when we say macroeconomics, the macroeconomics is the outer layer. So, what we are trying to focus here is how our behavior of individuals affect the aggregate demand, aggregate supply as a whole of the economy. How your behavior, how firms' behavior, how industries' behavior, how households' behavior will affect the aggregate demand and supply, right? And when I talk about the word aggregate basically means as a whole of the entire economic nation, right? So when I talk about the micro portion, which is a part of the macro, we talk about single individuals like me. I'm a single individual decision making unit. I'm considered to be a decision making unit. Why? Because I am able to make various decisions: what good to buy, which goods not to buy, what quantity to buy, at what price to buy, what are the different variations, how much to buy. All of these decisions I am making. Who is the other decision making unit? The households. The entire household. When you talk about the consumption basket, so we talk about the households and we talk about the firms and the businesses. What are they deciding? What to produce, how much to produce, at what price to produce, right? So these are individuals, single unit individuals who are making decisions and are affecting the single demand and supply. This is your micro. And when you talk about as a whole, economy as a whole, we talk about the macroeconomic concept. Today we'll be focusing on the microeconomic portion and we'll be majorly talking about law of demand and supply. Today in this class, we'll be talking about demand. So when I say demand, there are a few things that you need to keep in mind. The very first thing which you need to understand is the definition of demand. This is something which is very debatable. All right, so there are the key words which I have written over here which you need to keep in mind. For example, the first word is the willingness. So how do I define any demand? It is basically the willingness to buy a product, and I have the ability to buy the product at a particular price, all else being equal, in a given time period. All right, so in a given time period. For example, I am willing, I want, let's say suppose I'm saying that I want to buy 1 kg mangoes. I have defined what? I have defined 1 kg mangoes at rupees 500 today Am I able to buy it? Yes, I have 500, I can buy it. All other things like my income, the price of the good, everything remains the same. This is what demand is, right? So it is the willingness to buy a product, willingness to buy given quantity of a commodity or a good, and you should have the ability to buy it at a given price, all other things being equal, in a given time period. And this is a usual economic word that we use, ceteris paribus, which basically means everything else remains constant. Everything else remains constant, right? So let's say suppose I say, I define it this way. All right, I am, let's say suppose, willing to buy a car, a luxury car, Lamborghini. That is my willingness, that is my want. But am I able to buy it? No, maybe I'm not able to buy it. I don't have the purchasing power. Then it's not considered as a demand. It's simply only considered as a want. There is no ability to buy the product. So it's only considered as a want. There needs to be ability, the price needs to be mentioned, and also the time period. All of these components defines demand. Okay. Now, let's understand how a demand curve looks like. So this is a very basic demand curve. We make the quantity of the product 1 kg, 2 kg, 1 liter, 2 liter on the x-axis. We make the price on the y-axis, and it's downward sloping. When we say it's downward sloping curve, what do we mean? That, for example, let me talk about this particular point on this curve. This particular point denotes that I am able and willing to buy Q1 quantity of good at price P1 in a given time period. Right? This is a demand curve which generally tells you the maximum quantity a person is able and willing to buy at a given price. So now if, let's say suppose the price was P2, this would have been my Q2 maximum quantity that I am willing and able to buy at price P2. This is how you represent a demand curve. Right? Now, let's see when I say, so here if I say that the price is P1, okay, and I'm willing to buy Q1 quantity of good. So now, just before coming to this graph, I'll quickly explain a concept of law of demand. What do you mean by law of demand? As the price of a commodity or a good increases, you will buy less quantity of the good. Right? So if the price goes up, quantity demanded goes down. There is what? There is an inverse relationship between price of the good, price of own good. When I say own good, price of the good that is being consumed, that is being talked about. For example, mangoes. Price of mangoes goes up, quantity demanded of mangoes goes down. Now if 500 kgs becomes 600 kgs, will you be willing to buy that 5 kg? No. Let's suppose I'm just willing to buy 4 kgs now. Okay. So price goes up, quantity demanded goes down. There is an inverse relation. And this inverse relationship can be seen in this graph. So what do we see? That here, let's say suppose if the price goes down, price of the mangoes have gone down from 500 kgs to 400 kg. Now you will consume more. There will be more quantity demanded. Instead of buying 5 kgs, I am buying 6 kgs. Quantity demanded is moving. Use the word moving, right? Increasing, right? So here we see that there is a change in the price. And when there is the change in the price of the own good, other things being constant, we say that there is a movement along the demand curve. From this point A, we have reached to this point B. Right? There is a movement along the demand curve, and when there is a change in the price, what do we say? There is a change in the quantity demanded. There is a change in the quantity demanded, right? And you can see how your there is a movement from Q1 to Q2. There is a movement along the demand curve from point A to point B on a single demand curve. When the price goes down, quantity increases. If price would have gone up, quantity demanded would have gone down. Right? This is known as your change in quantity demanded. 5 kgs goes up to 6 kgs. Change in quantity demanded. Now the next concept is similar, which is what we say change in demand. Not in quantity demanded, but change in demand. Now what do you mean by change in demand? This happens when there is a change in any other factor other than the price. Other than the price itself. Above the price of the own good, price of mangoes were changing. Now, for example, I tell you, my income increases from 50,000 per month to 60,000 per month. Right? Price of mangoes remains same as at 500 kg. So tell me, I will be able to consume more mangoes now at rupees 500. So price is not changing. There is no change in the price. What was changing? My income was increasing. And when there is an increase in the income at, let's suppose, this price of 500 rupees, at this particular price, I will be able to buy more mangoes. So let's say we were here earlier. If I say that we were here earlier, now we are here. Right? Q1, and this is, let's suppose, Q2. So my ability to buy this quantity of mangoes has increased. The price remains the same, but since my income increases, this quantity increases, and this is what is known as increase in demand. And this is known as shift in the demand curve. Earlier we were talking about movement along the same demand curve. Here we are saying that there is a shift. We are moving from D1 to D3. There is a shift in the demand curve. All right. Let's suppose my income goes down from 50,000 per month to, let's suppose, 40,000 per month. Now what? If it goes down to 40,000 per month, meaning now even though the price is 500, it is not changing. I will be able to buy less quantity. This is called as decrease in demand. So what concepts we have learned? Movement along the demand curve can only take place when there is a change in the price and nothing else is changing. There is a change in the demand which leads to increase in demand or decrease in demand, and this takes place only when there is a change in other factors other than the price. Price remains same. So at all the prices, I am able to demand more because my income increases, or I am able to demand less because my income decreases. Right? We'll be talking about the other factors which are there. Now, when I was talking about law of demand, I said that the price increases, quantity demanded goes down, there is an inverse relationship. Now, this inverse relationship is usually depicted or is usually we can explain this concept using two other concepts, which is income effect and substitution effect. Okay, first let's talk about substitution effect. Remember, we are talking about law of demand. What do you mean by law of demand? Change in quantity demanded with change in the price. Price goes up, quantity demanded goes down. Price goes down, quantity demanded goes up. Again and again, remember, law of demand is price of the own good and quantity demanded of own good. Clear? So here when we are talking about substitution effect, we talk about the concept of relative price. Now let's say suppose there are two goods X and Y. Any goods, any two goods, considering any goods now for the time being. Usually these are similar goods, we'll come to that, but let's say suppose there are two goods in your consumption basket. I'm spending 50,000 every month. In that I have two goods X and Y. Now I'm saying that the price of X increases. Everything else is same. Price of Y is constant, other goods constant, only the price of my good, which is good X, is increases. If price of good X increases, the price of good X or good X becomes relatively expensive compared to other commodities. For example, in my fruit basket, I'm having mangoes, watermelon, papaya, and what else? Banana. Okay, so I have 4-5 goods. Now let's suppose all the other fruits, the price is not changing for all the other fruits. Suddenly, for mangoes, the price has gone up from 500 kgs to seedha 700 kgs. You tell me you were earlier consuming 2 mangoes every day. You will think that, okay, mangoes have become relatively expensive to the other goods which I am consuming. You will consume less of mangoes. You will consume less of mangoes because mangoes have become relatively expensive, and once it has become relatively expensive, you will reduce the consumption of mangoes. Quantity demanded of mangoes goes down. This is the substitution effect, which proves what? Which proves what? Which proves your law of demand. Which proves your law of demand. This is one way of proving it. You are showing the relative price of two or more goods. What is changing? Just keep in mind, price is changing. In law of demand, price should change. Price of own good should change and quantity demanded of own good should change. How we have explained? Through relative pricing. Now, next is your income effect. Here again we should change the price. We are explaining the law of demand using income effect. So what do you mean by purchasing power? If my income is 50,000 this month. Let's say suppose after 6 months my again per month income is 50,000. But there is a huge inflation in the market. Inflation has gone up, still my income remains the same. Inflation meaning general increase in the price overall of the overall products, right? So my income increases from 50,000. So let's say suppose it remains constant at 50,000. So today my income is 50,000. After 6 months, or let's suppose 1 year, take a gap of 1 year. After 1 year, my income is still at 50,000, but there has been inflation, general price rise in all the commodities, everything. So in that case, we say that my purchasing power is going down. My real income is going down. My nominal income remains the same at 50,000, but my real income, my purchasing capacity of buying goods and commodities, services at 50,000 goes down because everything has become expensive in general, right? So when my purchasing power, here we are talking about the purchasing power. Understood the concept of purchasing power, real income? Okay. Now, if I say again, we are starting with this point where we are saying your price is decreasing. Of mangoes from 500 to 400, my everything else remains same. My income is 50,000. Everything else, price of other goods, whatever you can imagine, everything else is same. Just price of mangoes have gone down. When the price of mangoes have gone down and my income is constant at 50,000, my ability to buy mangoes has gone up. So I say that my purchasing power has gone up. What do you mean by increase in purchasing power? Now in this case, my nominal income is constant. When I show a line, it means it's constant. But because the price has gone down, I will say that my real income or my purchasing power will increase because I'm able to buy more mangoes at my given income of 50,000, right? So my purchasing power goes up, and so I will demand more goods. What are we proving again? Decrease in price and there is an increase in quantity demanded. Don't use the word only demand. When you say increase in demand, we are talking about factors other than the price changing. When we are saying increase in quantity demanded, then we are specifically talking about the price, as I showed above, the two graphs, okay? So price decreasing, quantity demanded increasing. Just focus on these two things. Purchasing power. Price decreases, my nominal income of 50,000 remains same, but my purchasing power, real income, increases because I can buy more now, and so I will be buying more of mangoes. Quantity demanded goes up. These are the two ways you can prove law of demand. Okay. The next thing that we'll be talking about, when we're talking so much about the other factors, I've talked about income. Now, other than income, there are multiple factors which will affect the what? Demand, shift in demand. Remember? So, I'll just quickly again recap with you all this change in demand. I said that my income is constant. My price is constant. My income is increasing. If my income is increasing and the price is constant, I will increase the demand of the particular commodity. Okay. This is known as what? Change in demand, increase in demand, shift in the demand curve. When there is a movement along the demand curve, when there is a change in, when there is a movement. बोलो, movement कब होता है? When there is a movement along the demand curve, when there is only a change in its own price, nothing else. When there is a change in its own price, there is a movement along the demand curve. There is no new demand curve coming up. All right. Okay, got it. Understood. So now let's talk about what are these different factors. What are these different factors that will affect the change in demand? Meaning price remains the same, but when these factors are changing, there is a shift. You all tell me what, use your general knowledge and tell me what all different factors we can have. What all different factors? One is your change in income that we have discussed, that as your income increases, you will be able to buy more. There is an increase, rightward shift. Remember, this was your D1, right? Increase in income meaning at this price only. Instead of Q1, I will be able to buy Q2. So at all the price level, I am able to buy more. So my demand curve shifts to the right. You can also call it upwards, or we also say increase. There is a shift in the demand curve towards the right or upwards, or there is an increase in the demand. These are the terminologies that we use. Now, what are the other things which can happen? My income is same, price is same. What is another factor which can affect? Yeah. Increase, decrease, anything. Can I say my tastes and preferences? My income is 50,000, price is same. My taste and preferences has shifted from mangoes to papayas. I don't like mangoes anymore. It gives me a lot of pimples. I'm moving towards a healthy alternative, papaya, which makes my skin bright. So my taste and preferences is shifting. I will demand less of mangoes at the same price, same, everything else is same. What has changed? My preferences and tastes. So there will be, if I make a demand curve quickly anywhere, there will be what? This is D1, downward shift in the demand curve. Downward, leftward, or decrease in demand. Because price is 500. But I am not demanding this Q1 now. I am demanding Q2 now. What else? So change in consumers' tastes and preferences. I hope you all can see this. So there is an, here I have written opposite, if there is an increase. I have started to liking mangoes a lot now. It's 500 kgs now. Everything is same. But now since I have started liking it more, I will consume more, it will shift. What else? Can I also talk about what happened in COVID? People were stocking up everything, piling up everything at their homes. Why? Because they had this fear of increase in price in future or shortage. So the next is expectations. What are the expectations of you as a consumer? I am expecting that the price of mangoes will go down next week. So this week I will consume less. I will consume less. So if your price expectation of future is that the price will go down, today immediate consumption will go up or down. Future price going down. ठीक है, future में I am expecting prices going down. Abhi I will consume more or less? Less. I will buy in future. Price of gold. People now, if you are in market, your people are speculating the price of gold will increase to 1 lakh. Currently, it's I think somewhere around it has gone 70, 75, right? So I am expecting it will go 1 lakh. I will buy now. So if you are expecting the price will increase in future, your immediate current, we are talking always about the current demand, will increase or shift to the right or upwards. Understood? This is actually confusing. You might get an MCQ for sure on this, and generally we tend to, when we are very quick in a hurry, we generally make a mistake over here. So just think before answering these questions. The next is change in the number of buyers. So for example, I say that earlier in market, what is happening in India? Can you tell me? The population of youth is increasing. Why everyone around the world is targeting India? Can you tell me? Because of the youth population in India. All the different consumer products. If any of you, because I have recently started looking for these skincare reels, right? All the Korean brands, US brands, these are coming to India. Why are they coming to India? Because of the geographical, because of the number of buyers, the number of girls, they are willing to buy these kind of products. So when the number of buyers of a particular commodity is increasing, obviously the demand curve will shift to the right. Let's say suppose this is my Q price and this is D1 demand. Okay? I am saying that the price is same at P1 and quantity is this Q1. Suddenly earlier there were 100 buyers in the market. Now there are 110 buyers in the market. So obviously they will demand more because there were more people. It is a rightward shift when there is an increase in the number of buyers. If I say there is an increase in wealth, what do you understand by wealth? So let's say suppose हम लोग क्या बोलते हैं हिंदी में? जायदाद. So if your grandfather leaves you a good जायदाद, है ना? They have left you good amount of wealth in their will. Suddenly overnight everything happened, and next day you found the will, and you are earning, you have a wealth of टू मतलब बहुत सारा wealth आ गया आपके पास. अब आपके पास जो बहुत सारा wealth आ गया, when you have so much wealth with yourself, you will demand more luxurious goods. I'm buying a car, I'm buying a new house. Why? Suddenly I discovered my grandfather left me 1 crore, which I never knew. So there will be a rightward shift. Understood? Very simple. ठीक है? I hope this happens to all of you. चलो next. Change change in price of related goods. This we'll talk in details because this is something which is again very important from MCQ point of view as well. So there are two kinds of goods that we'll be talking about. One is substitute and one is complement. So let's suppose when we're talking about substitutes, okay? What do you mean by substitutes? Goods which are similar in nature. Tea, coffee, what else? Coca-Cola, Pepsi, similar. Thumbs up. What else? Tell me. What are similar goods? Different kind of fashionable goods. है ना? और similar goods. Pen, pencil, right? So these are the different similar, let's suppose similar goods, right? So now if price, again, I always said one thing, price of own good, price of own good. We are not changing price of own good in all the factors that we discussed above. Here in this case also, I am not changing the price of my own commodity. I am changing the price of the other good. Let's say suppose our concern is coffee. Our concern is coffee. Our own good is coffee. I'm very like, I can have coffee also, tea also. I'm not a person ki only tea, only coffee. Okay. So now if price of tea goes up, the price of tea goes up, coffee becomes relatively cheap. I will consume more coffee because they are similar to me. So if the price of tea goes up, quantity of coffee goes up. These are similar goods. Price of thumbs up goes up, consuming more Pepsi. Lays, bingo, mad angles. Price of one increasing. So generally what they do, they keep it at a very similar price. A 40 rupees Pepsi, similar you have a 40 rupees thumbs up. There is no change. 5 rupee Lays, they have released 5 rupees mad angles, right? So it's very similar pricing that they do, because if they change the price, customer will easily shift to the another good. These are similar goods, and we can show it using the diagram as well. Here my own good is coffee. So quantity demanded of coffee, I have written QD, quantity demanded of coffee, P, coffee, price of coffee. If my price of tea is increasing, at the same price of tea is increasing, at the same price of coffee, I will demand more, because now it has become relatively cheap compared to tea. Okay. Now let's talk about the other kind of goods, which is complementary goods. What do you mean by complementary goods? So goods which are consumed together. Goods which are consumed. Tea, sugar, bread, butter. Fafda jalebi is something. ठीक है चलो. So all the Gujarati people will come in. Fafda jalebi. What else? Biryani and aloo. Very good. So rice and potato. Okay? So these rice and potato is actually something which most of the many people consume together. So these are what? These are goods which are consumed together. These are goods which are consumed together. And if, for example, price of rice goes up, you only eat potato and rice. So will you be eating more potato? No, because you will be maybe moving towards dal and normal chapatis. Hai So now if price of sugar goes up, I cannot have my tea without sugar. So if price of sugar goes up, quantity demanded of tea is going down, because sugar has become expensive. I'm not able to have my 4 cups of tea. I'm just having 2 cups of tea daily. So quantity of tea is going down. Right? Now we can see it using the diagram as well. This own good, my own good is again coffee. Let's suppose coffee and sugar you are comparing. So if price of sugar goes up, at the same price of coffee, I was consuming Q1 coffee. Now I am only consuming Q2. Rather than consuming 4 cups, I am now consuming 2 cups of coffee because sugar has become expensive. So one thing that we can understand quickly, Px, Qy. X and Y are substitutes. Tell me what will happen. Substitutes. If price of X increases, quantity of Y will increase. Hamesha when they say substitute, always remember Pepsi thumbs up. Okay? So there is a positive relationship between the two. Again, if I say Px, Qy, X and Y are complementary goods, are complements, are complements. So now if butter, price of butter goes up, quantity of bread will go down. Butter, if butter is becoming expensive, I used to have bread and butter, acha se. Now I'm not having bread. Maybe I was having 4 breads, I'm now having only 1 bread. So there is a negative relationship. Always remember positive, negative relationship. Clear? Law of demand, factors affecting demand, change in demand, movement along the demand curve. How you prove law of demand curve? Using substitution effect or using income effect. ठीक है? You'll just go through the notes and सब कुछ याद हो जाएगा. Okay? Thank you.